who's going to take care of the road? You got a business in there, you know. The Valves have been there for 30 years. I'm getting educated to this, you know, and all I keep hearing is how great they are, and I'm asking the question, well, you know, truck traffic, we're talking about that. Well, I know that there's, and I know that deterioration may come from just a garbage truck once a week. I mean, because they said it for themselves, they're a growing, thriving business. There's traffic coming in. So the traffic's going around that circle. It's ate up over years. So I'm also asking the question, accountability. Accountability from the standard that in 1976, Audubon subdivision was established. It was there. That was a farm. And then it turned into this thriving, growing business. Okay? So my question is to whom is responsible and accountable for repairing the damage that was done? You know, I don't know what I would say if I was in Mr. Bowles' position, but certainly to generate all this and grow this business and then just kind of step aside and walk away and say, hey, thanks to the left of the road, now I'm going to go ahead and open up Highway 44 and bring my traffic in up there now, and good luck to you. That's unacceptable. So I guess that's my position. It is twofold. I'm concerned from a property owner, a homeowner, taxpayer, okay? And I'm also concerned about protecting that roadway. From curb appeal, if I were coming down that road now looking for the beautiful home that I own, I would have to say I'm going to pass because of the curb appeal and the property tax that has elevated since 2006 to current standards. It's unacceptable. What am I paying for? Small children can't ride bikes, can't walk. You're going to twist your ankle. You know, it's not feasible. Not feasible. I have to pass. Unfortunately, we're all stuck with it right now. I'm asking for a resolution. I'm asking for the application so that everybody, parties, whomever, can regroup, think this thing through as far as opposing going to business. Don't like it, wrong side.
Any questions, Chairman?
So you're saying like gold is probably
Absolutely. So from my understanding, with the research I've done, once that switch is moved to business, it is opened up to anybody. It's opened up to anybody.
there's no
Anything that's in a B1 area.
you're saying there's no concession there at that road. There's different business in there now. They're walking all over the road.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Miles are taking up the responsibility. Now someone else comes in and they don't. That road has to be concession. The only way to do it is the only way. I've researched that. That's the only way to do it.
Mr. Bowles, go ahead.
If he know what to
Mr.
do.
Bowles, do you mind coming up here, please?
And you're still sworn in.
Yeah, you're a lawyer, Mr. Bowles, wants to still on the same page.
We're on the same page.
Gerald, thank you.
First thing to the audience, the worst of all zones for a residential area is agricultural. First reason why is because an agricultural zone, any nuisance from the use of an agricultural zone pre-existing the correction of a residential area, the nuisance has to be accepted by the residential area, and that is a matter of law, correct? County Attorney? I mean, there's no if, no ands, and no buts. We're zone agriculture. It was discussed at the Planning Commission very directly about the fact that garbage trucks do more damage to roads in this particular area than anything else. And that was pretty much readily agreed by the commission. Even asked if the owners of the residential area wanted to move their garbage cans to Highway 44. It is a problem when you have roads that are non-conforming and are not been built to various specifications. It's not, if you examine the area, it becomes very readily that Mr. Basil and his operation does not exceed in a southerly direction past the cemetery that's located in the middle of the road. Garbage trucks do go past the cemetery where the damage is most pronounced. This is simply, and we've been there for 30 years, the road in our area of the subdivision, we've maintained, we're going to maintain it again. But do not be fooled about the use. Agricultural use to a residential area is about as damaging as you can get to curb appeal. There is no restriction on an agricultural use, period. We can grow crops, we can raise animals, we can haul in tractors, we can haul heavy equipment, we can bring it all in. And there's not anything under the law that anybody can do. That's just the way it is. It's a public road. I didn't create the subdivision, I didn't make it. We've been a good neighbor for 30 years. We were there before they were. And they all thought it was nice enough in our operation to move where they are now. Now they want to come back and say we want to do something with this road. Remember to this board, I don't think there's anything that you could tell my client to do with a public road. I think it would be illegal for him to do things to a public road. He has no right to do that. There's no right to put up a fence to bar the public. And that's where we are. We have a road that was not built. If the court does not want to take it in, each property owner can maintain their portion of the road. We've done ours. We're not looking for trouble. We wish to continue our business legally. We're a non-conforming use now, been non-conforming for 30 years. We can talk about adverse possession, we can talk about uses, we can talk about the law. Our client is solid in what he's asking this court legally. He's well-grounded and well-founded. When people want to start pointing fingers at different uses, the worst of all uses you can have next to a residence is an agricultural use, primarily because our legislature, the state of Kentucky, has ordained by statute that any use of an agricultural area must be borne by the residents adjoining it if the use was created for the residents. In this case, it is. I would ask this commission to look favorably at our next meeting to pass the recommendation of this planning commission as to both zoning and amendments.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Walker?
Mr. Walker, I have a question. How, the information I had out of the courthouse is that the property in question here, that 5 acres, is lot 24 of Audubon Terrace. It's lot 24 of Audubon Terrace. I have not found anything up there to dispute that. Okay, every lot in all 33 lots of Audubon Terrace, section 3, was required by the zoning commission. The developer didn't rezone this lot. The zoning commission submitted the application to rezone. And they chose to make 32 lots plus the subdivided lot of 24. They chose to make all of us go residential. Okay? And for some reason they excluded the remaining part of lot 24. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out how you can create a subdivision, make every resident there be residential. Okay? And lot 24 not be, part of lot 24 not be residential. It was not the developer that did that. County Planning and Zoning Commission filed that application and changed that zone. That's the developer for over 9 years. Audubon Terrace, section 3 was not zoned residential. It was not zoned correctly. The whole thing was zoned agriculture. And then the county stepped in and drew a line around part of one lot, part of it, one lot. Said the rest of you are residential. You get to be agriculture. I don't understand how that can be.
Mr. Culberson did that when they developed Audubon Terrace.
No, it was not zoned until 1984. The subdivision was created in 1976.
The zoning on that property, I believe, will remain agricultural since its existence.
You can have,
Mr. Fowler.
it was agriculture and everyone was forced to go residential except for part of one lot. And that's what my point is how we just take a line, a magic marker literally up there on the map, and draw part of one lot, part of this subdivision, and say, oh, you're not residential. Okay, all of us have to become residential, no choice, and
They
everything.
would have had to have a hearing on it. If you want us to research the minutes, we can find the minutes for you, but that's all I'm gonna have to go on in as well.
And it's a little late after 30 years to say that this use wasn't going on, but we was there 30 years to use it.
There's a case, but there's a larger, a lot more traffic.
Amen, brother.
You think it was when you thought it was on
Well, I thought it was private road too until last week. You know, and, you know, but that doesn't make it all okay. And we got to really, road is in really bad shape. My barrels, doesn't seem to see through access points for that road.
And those three access points is the best part of the road. And I've asked for review, there's no question, property around Mr. Val's property, that road is in its best condition, and that includes the apartment complex across the street. Problem with the road is down beyond the cemetery.
Not beyond the cemetery, it's around that loop of the cemetery with the trucks.
We're not putting up a sign on trucks.
How many of my trucks have you seen like this?
In the last 10 years or so, no one has used that circle because it's already destroyed. I agree with
What do
you.
you mean? Explain it to me.
The destruction around that circle has been like that for over 10 years.
Right.
And you have not put any more trucks.
When you moved there too.
And I agree, you have not put
I
any
didn't have
trucks back
anything to
there
do with it.
in the last 10 years or so. I had a talk with him 10, 15 years ago, and he just stopped letting trucks down there. But that doesn't mean there wasn't already destruction caused by that business. And my point is not to get argumentative. My point is whatever business ends up there in the future, and if this road was magic wand repaired perfect tomorrow, it would be destroyed again by public use. If you do not restrict it somehow, and that's like this road. There's no way to protect the road. There's no way you can expect a handful of people to maintain a road for the whole county and business to use. And that's my whole point. You can't.
It's a public road.
I understand that.
Thank you. I mean, the chances are, the public road, public has a right to use it. And I don't, be quite candidly, outside of the restrictions, I don't think the board can restrict the use of the public road. Go down and public road, maybe we have the same.
You can't issue gravel roads, sir. Since it's gonna turn to gravel, you can't leave a gravel road for a year.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Manager Bradshaw, this is your district?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm on you. Take a comment or whatever, if you want to say anything.
Well, this is certainly a difficult situation. Like Mr. Walker said, the business has been there for, I guess, close to 30 years. I went out and looked at the road, and for the most part, the road from the cemetery out to 44 is in fairly decent shape. There is a couple potholes, which Mr. Howell said he was going to repair. Now, past the cemetery and that loop around the cemetery, the road's in pretty bad shape. There seems maybe there's a disagreement as to how it got that way. I wasn't in this area 30 years ago, so I couldn't, obviously I didn't see it happen, so I don't know how it happened. The one side of that loop, I went out to look at it a week or so ago. I drove down the road and went around the right side of the loop, went down to the cul-de-sac, came back around. I went around the bad side, but it's like this, and I made sure I rode the ridges so I didn't rip the bottom off the car. Now, how that got damaged, whether it was a semi, whether it was a garbage truck, I don't know. I understand that maybe semis haven't been back there in the last 10 years, and that's a good thing, I'm sure. semis used to go around Terry, go down into the cul-de-sac, and then back in the area. Back in the area where the barn is. Now, I don't see a road there right now. Maybe that's wrong over the grass. I don't know how they did it, but anyway, they were back in and then they were pulled out. But again, this is just what I've been told. It's maybe lawyers would call that hearsay evidence, so it's not presumable. I don't know. What I wish is that there could be, and maybe before this ever got to court here, there could have been some kind of agreement among all parties involved, and I'm not sure who all that involves, whether it's the county and the residents and the business owner, you know, some kind of agreement of, okay, we're gonna do this, or we're gonna fix this, and then have a plan from there on. It's already got through planning and zoning, and it's here before fiscal court. So the decision has to be made in 2 weeks. If, my understanding that if the zoning was denied, that it would be, I think, another year, or maybe 2 years before they could reapply. 1 year.
Is there a way to revisit it and we wait the 1 year waiting period and try to work with everybody to get?
There's no vote, there's no vote tonight.
Right, there's no vote tonight, it's not going to be voted on in 2 weeks. So, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know if anything can be done before 2 weeks. I would hate to see this thing denied and then the gentleman, the owner, not be able to rezone it for a year. I don't know what that does to his plans for the transfer of ownership, maybe to his son or whatever else is in the background. The business has been there for a while. It has been built up to the point where it doesn't legally qualify as agricultural, my understanding. So it's kind of like the zoning commission is like pushed into saying, hey, this is a business, we gotta make it legal. This is what we gotta do. Honestly, I don't know what the answer is. And it's illegal for any of us up here to say how we may or may not vote in 2 weeks. I've been told you're not allowed to do that. We have to hear the case as it is and, you know, make our vote in 2 weeks. Mr. Walton is representing his client. That's what he's supposed to do. I would just like for people to talk. See if you can work something out, one way or the other. You know, but as it stands, we're gonna have to vote on this zoning issue in 2 weeks. We have no choice at this point in time. So I wish you all well.
Okay, any other questions or discussion on this issue? Okay, thank you all for being here, and we will have this as a second reading, March the 19th. So everyone's welcome to come again.
Yeah, so is that correct? We'll go look. You know, so they'll have this county. know, just a little pull-in place. Really. Yeah, reasonable.
Okay, we're gonna bring up Jimmy Stivers, Director of our Road Department. He's gonna go over flex funds. Come on up, Jimmy. Is the snow accumulating, Jimmy?
What would you do? Is there enough room for some sort of place for citizens so they can get to county road? But they said it's county road. But let's get somebody to know that.
Every year this comes up, this is the flex fund. And what it is the 2013-2014 fiscal year little secondary program flex funds. The reason it's called flex funds because it gives us the flexibility to recommend these funds be spent on state projects or county projects. And I always do. If you like our recommendation on this, that's what we're giving you. I believe we need to send it to the county roads. That money is too much. That money is separate from this money, and this money cannot start. We cannot start on this. And you're right, we got, actually, we got. My recommendation on this is to be a county road project. We do it every year. Kind of build our, like our capability. That's my recommendation.
Is there any reason you wouldn't accept it?
You can put it on your state rural, secondary rural projects, like, Fiscal, like $45 or something. Spend on that. But the state usually comes back with more money for their state roads themselves. You know, you got flexibility, lanes to doing a road, you got flexibility.
Need action, Jimmy?
Yes.
I make a motion to accept this, rural secondary flex fund allocation for the county.
It's a choice between county and state.
Excuse me?
It's a choice between whether you give the money back to the state or you want to specify for county roads.
Yeah, for county roads.
Okay, is there a second to Magistrate Ashball's motion?
I'll say
Thank you, Magistrate. We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Don, will you read that motion, please?
To accept the flex funds for county roads.
And,
Ms. Ashball?
Yes.
Mr. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Glasgow?
Yes.
Mr. Bradshaw?
yes.
Judge Roberts?
Yes.
All right, I'm welcome.
Okay, Director of Solid Waste, Larry Hatfield, come on up. You got it.
All right, 3 seconds, okay? I like to have cleanup days, I like to have April 13th, April 27th, and I like for you to vote on that, I got everything ready to go.
So dates, please?
School has okayed me for April 13th and April 27th, and I have the bids ready to go in the paper if you all want to have cleanup days, I think you did budget for it.
I'll make a motion that,
Yes, 2 Saturdays.
I make a motion that we have cleanup days, April 13th and April 27th. and that we publish this in the newspaper.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, any questions or discussion?
What's the locations?
Oh, go ahead. Location?
I will have, Lebanon Junction, Shepherdsville, and Nichols on the 13th, and I will have Bullitt East and North Bull on the 27th. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah.
What can be wrong? Anything different than before?
No, I'm gonna ask fiscal court not to do like we did last year. No, we can't accept anything hazardous, and do not accept yard waste.
Larry, is that the on your 13th, you just now mentioned, is that the gun shooting and everything on that weekend?
If you go ahead and one of Nichols.
I don't know whether it is or not on the gun shoot. I just check to make sure I get to school.
Because they do a lot of parking on it.
They don't use the school parking, do they?
Yeah. Depends on the weather.
Well, according to the school, it's open. Yeah. Good.
Okay, that's, we have a motion on it. Any other questions or discussion? Ms. Coleman, and call the roll.
Ms. Ashball?
Yes.
Mr. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Weisfeld?
Yes.
Mr. Bradshaw?
Yes.
Judge Roberts?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Any questions for me?
Maybe
All right.
Friday, you're opening up the deeds at Rick.
Yeah, we open up the bid on the King done Friday morning, and we're going to do you all following meeting. Yeah, see.
He's got a 20-foot concrete machine gun shoot. He's at 12, 13, 14, 2013.
We'll have the director of solid waste.
I'll take care of it. Yep.
Thank you, Director.
Thank you all.
And to moderate, Executive Director of our Holy Thing YMCA, our YMCA agreement. Good evening.
I'm guessing the agreement was in the budget, that we talked about. The agreement, it was originally drawn up by Steve Larimore and approved by the First Parks Committee, is, due to expire this summer, but it expires in the middle of the swim season. So we were wanting to, update it, and I know on the agreement that I had forwarded to the judge and the deputy judge and to Rudy Hawkins and Laura Sloan had it being an April date because I thought this was going to come before an April meeting, but it got moved up. So that would need to be changed if it's approved tonight to the 5th of March. And then on the second page, number 7, we would need to change it there, I guess, to read March 1 through December 31st. Just because fiscal court's on a fiscal year and relies on a calendar year, we were trying to have the agreement not expire in the middle of a basketball season, a baseball season, or the outdoor parks pools being open. So we were trying to get those dates so that that didn't happen. So, and I found a typo less than S off Judge Roberts' after I had approved it a couple of times. So this is basically the same agreement that Mr. Larimore and the Parks Committee put together with just a few changes in wording after meeting with Director Hawkins, Melissa Sloan, the judge, and the assistant judge. And I've got some board members and staff here too to answer any questions that the court might have about the agreement or anything that was provided before the council. So,
I make a motion to approve this agreement. Do I hear a second? Thank you, Bob. We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? I will say again, I appreciate the YMCA so much in taking care of our recreational facilities, our recreational activities in this county.
O'Brien, thank you so much.
Chris O'Brien.
Chris, if you'll stay on.
Thank you so much.
I know, and any board members here, Mrs. Belcher, Steve Blairmore, Charlie Hall, our board chair, Montreal Ross. I've got 4 board members who came tonight to support the Y. And like I said, that how they answer the questions.
Board members, will you stand? So we can see, thank you all very much for all that you do.
Chris's assistant Russell is here, but he had to.
Chris, thank you so much. Okay, motion and a second on the floor. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Clerk, you may call the roll.
Ms. Ashcraft?
Yes.
Mr. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Laszlo?
Yes.
Mr. Bradshaw?
Yes.
Judge Roberts?
Yes.
Thank you guys, it's been a pleasure to listen to you.
Thank you, June.
I didn't mean that to sound like I wasn't doing this as a anymore. I just.
Just sit down.
I'm tired.
Thank you for coming by us today. Okay, under old business, we have the second reading of ordinance 12-06, amendment 1, budget amendment. Ms. Sharp, would you like to read that? Thank you.
Page 102, ordinance number 12-06, amendment number 1, ordinance relating to annual budget and amendment thereof, whereas the county of Florida has realized unbudgeted receipts from the general road and jail to be ordained by the fiscal court of the county of Florida, Commonwealth of Kentucky. Section 1, the budget for fiscal year 2012 and 2013 is amended to increase the receipts of the general road and jail fund by $2,007,155 to include unbudgeted receipts from account code 0140-132 distilled spirits $28,405, account code 014304 sheriff's excess fees of $49,644, account code 014727 clerk and sheriff fee reimbursements $566,718, account code 014733 insurance reimbursement $77,500, account code 014901 prior year materials of $958,818, account code 024516 truck license $31,000, account code 024519 municipal road aid $247,500, account code 034569 local correctional assistance fund $21,970, account code 034633 jail volunteers $25,600. Section B, an increase of expenditure accounts, account code 019200-999, reserve account $1,681,085, account code 026105-405, asphalt, increase at $209,400, account code 026105-443, motor vehicle leases $5,000, account code 026105-445, fuel and oil $45,000, account code 026105-479 for tubes and tires $10,000, account code 026105-581 water and sewer $2,000, account code 026105-582 electric and gas $1,500, account code 026105-588 equipment maintenance $5,000, and account code 036101-589 for building maintenance $47,570. Page 2 of 2, ordinance 12-06, amendment number 1, section 2, this budget related amendment was duly adopted by fiscal court of Bullock County this day, the 5th day of March 2013.
Thank you, Ms. Sharp. Action is requested.
Do you want a second? I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion on the budget amendment?
May I ask you a question? I've heard some discussion since the last yes, there was apparently some extra money that came in, but all of that money has been spent. Is that correct, the top half of the page?
This is actually, it's above and beyond what's been budgeted for these line items that has came in.
Okay.
Therefore, it has to be reappropriated on the expenditure side.
Okay.
It's not
But-
necessarily been spent.
It's not been spent, but I
It's
have,
been allocated to those lines to be spent.
and I need to have a budget amendment in order to put it in that line item to be spent.
Okay. But it's not like we got $2 million extra that we didn't,
Right.
it's not we got a surplus of $2 million. Okay.
Just above and beyond those revenue.
It's unanticipated revenue.
That's exactly right.
Right. But it's like already committed, apparently.
This of course the one that spends money, so.
I don't have a problem with where it's been spent, but where it's gonna be spent. I just didn't want the idea that we got $2 million extra and, where are we gonna spend it? It's like already committed, apparently.
Well, I'm sure this court can change it if they so desire. We'll call fiscal court. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, Ms. Fulton, Ms. Allen.
Ms. Ashcraft?
Yes.
Mr. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Mr. Bradshaw?
Yes.
Judge Roberts?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Okay, new business, action request on Forsoft contract. Come on up here, Chuck. You've made yourself a little home over here in that little,
I have.
you have stuff. Oh. Oh. Go ahead. I know you're here to answer any questions.
That's it. I'll
Yeah.
just, stick the county attorneys to bring it up and, or else you'll read it.
Mark, you
And, or I can go.
Do they have any questions?
Mark, do you want to come up, or are you supposed to sit there? This, the Corsoft is a company that the Jager originally researched, and then I found out about it as well when I went to the county attorney training. Most of the counties around us are using it. They're part of electronic monitoring company. The Jager has informed me that who we were using before, they're either going bankrupt, the business is going under, we can't get any kind of bans to put on inmates that are doing HIP, so we have to find something else. Chuck came down, introduced us to the project, the product, Corsoft. It is so much more than just doing home incarceration. I met with them, the jailer met, the sheriff, the judge's office. We'll be able to eventually use this product down to if someone is on a domestic violence restriction, that someone's say 500 feet away from them, that they're literally going to be able, their phone's going to tell them if the perpetrator is within 500 feet of them. I can use that in court, and even the GPS records, the days that he said, she said are over, okay? It's going to be awesome. And that's just one part of it, okay? Right now, we're ready to get rolling, keep it going as we got the HIP, because I'm sending people, we also want to take them from other counties if they can get us the proper documentation ahead of time, but we have to have these available. And if the company we're using is not available, we can't get the bans in, it defeats the purpose of sending people over to do HIP. So that's where we're originally going to start. It will be branched out. All we're asking fiscal court is to enter into this contract. This costs us nothing. It is the same thing that we do with the company now. We are billed based upon usage. We bill the people that are charged with using this. So, Martha, you know the amounts. However many dollars a day you bill them.
Like last month, we brought in $8,253, which could have been a lot more if we had the equipment. But since the company is going under, which I'll assume because they keep putting us off, we'll call for bans, they'll say, well, next week. That's not the way it usually originally started out. We'll call for a ban, they would overnight it to us. Now we can't get them. So you got people sitting there waiting a week, 2 weeks, trying to get a ban to get on HIP. So that's money that we're not been able to recoup. because every person that comes in there, we're gonna charge them $125 to be hooked up in the first week, payment. So that's money that comes back to the county, which the county is only charged $8 a day to service that person on HIP. So it's something that has really, brought money back in.
Does that make sense? Like if Mike went over, I sentenced Mike to 30 days HIP, and he went over and Martha's the hookup point, and she hooks him up over there. He's gonna pay a hookup fee, okay? And then he also has to pay a daily fee for every day, that 30 days he's on the HIP program. And then we owe Chuck $7 or $8 or whatever it is per day. So when you see the HIP revenue, that's already subtracted from what we've paid out of our costs. That's what we cleared. Yes, okay? That was on my chart I showed you a while ago. Now, that's question one. We need the contract with Corsoft, okay? The second thing that I've got here is a resolution I put in front of you all on hookup fees. Right now, Martha, the jail is the hookup place. They will probably always be the hookup place, even if it's a civil case. Because the way I understand is, I can even use this in child support at some point.
Juveniles.
Juveniles, if people aren't, let's just say child support. Somebody's not paying their support, but they tell me they have 10 job interviews, so don't put me in jail about these job interviews. I can rig this up to where I know whether they went to those job interviews or not, okay? And they're gonna have to pay a fee for that. Even though they're not criminal per se, they'll have to go to jail and get hooked up, because that's what we're gonna designate. When they do that, right now the jail's charging a hookup fee, $25. And what we're asking in this resolution is for us to join with most of the counties around us and charge $50. And the $25 will continue to go to the jail, and the sheriff and I will split the other $12.50. Why? Because what makes Corsoft unique is I am going to be able to track everybody we have on that program on my phone right here, and so is the sheriff, 24 hours a day, okay? So when we get an emergency call, and somebody's done something, I can tell you if we got somebody right there by them. But what does that mean? It means every single morning when I go in the office, somebody at my office is gonna log on to this computer, and if someone's an HIP violation, I don't have to wait for a market to tell us, I already know. I got a digital download, I can prove it by GPS. And we're filing motions to revoke it. It's gonna be great.
Even the deputies, they have the NDTs and their cruisers, I don't know if they have air cars or not. But even while they're in their car, they can, with the air card, they can log right in. If they're sitting out somewhere, they can see where somebody is. So if there was a burglary, hypothetically, at 200 Jones Lane last night, they can, or just recently, they can log in and see if anybody on electronic monitoring was near the scene of the crime. So it's a good crime fighting tool as well.
And it behooves us to use it. Our HIP money's gone up because my office is the one referring people to HIP, they're taking the deals. So let's just say if we refer 100 people instead of, the county's making money off that, but this time I also can make $1,250 because we're gonna get $12.50 for each person. That will at least pay my postage for 2 weeks because that's about what we spend in mail.
One other thing I want to tell you, we also, it sets our company apart from a lot of the others, is we also have a social services section in our company. We will actually, if the court goes in front of the court, the judge and says, I can't find a job, when they get them, when they put them on our program, our social service workers will actually help them find jobs. We have a whole other section where companies partner with us and tell us who they're looking for. We can also help them get enrolled in their drug treatment, drug and alcohol treatment, counseling. We can help them get enrolled into housing, assistance, as well as mental health assistance, job placement, you name it. It's just like a social services section comes with the program. So when we're finding people job placement, well, then that increases more revenue for the county, obviously, because the county pays local taxes, and getting more money in the community. Crime starts to go down because there is.
Well, we're gonna have to work into this. I mean, it's gonna take us a while to get everything on board, get the program started, and it'll be just like everything else I started. There'll be some if they're getting by places, like if I tell them they can't have alcohol, if they get close enough to a place that serves alcohol, it's gonna beep at them, it's gonna go off for us to know. It's the way that, it's like watching a video.
One last thing, we're in several counties across the state of Kentucky, we're down in Tennessee, and the other states, but there's a county that's in Kentucky that's almost half their size. They're running 50-something, almost 60 units a day. And so that just can tell you what our program does, and if that's the case, I looked it up, y'all are 75,000 population, probably close to 80 by now. So that tells you what they're running at, 35, 40, you all can be doing very, very well with your program, and you're actually making a difference in people's lives.
Hey, Karen, do we need to do the resolution portion of the contract?
You need to do the contract for that's what Chuck's waiting around for. And then the resolution, I think we need to do something, because before we had nothing, and, I guess that $25 was supposed to be here, but it was never really voted on. I do think we should go with 50, that does seem to be, based on what Chuck said, it's
That's average.
some counties are $100 and something, but we all think it's too much.
Will the bands be available after sale all the time?
Yes. And just to let you know, it's not just ankle bracelets. We use smartphone technology as well. That's something else that sets us apart from other companies. So we have ankle bracelets, the traditional ankle bracelet, which is a one-piece GPS device. It's waterproof. If they cut it, it's going to let everybody know. They cut their band, which is an escape. If they start jerking on it, it's going to let us know that they're tampering with it. But we also have smartphone technology, so the participant can be issued a smartphone. And that way, these folks can communicate with that person. Now, obviously, that's more low-risk offenders, but they are tethered to their phone with voice biometrics. And we also have here about 2 months come out as an RF band that they can still wear. If they set the phone down and walk away, it breaks that RF field just as if they cut off an ankle bracelet. But with the phone, they can do so much more because of getting rehabilitated back in the community. Like she said, those people they can do work release. This is a great program, very successful in the other counties. You have somebody who has a full-time job, yet they owe time to the county in jail. Judges are putting them on our program, so they don't walk into a business to go to work with an ankle bracelet. How humiliating can that be? So now they can still go to work, they have their phone tethered to them, that we do random calls to make sure they got the phone with them, the voice biometrics comparisons, military's been using for years. And that person's still being a productive citizen as well as making sure that they are adhering to the program. So they will have phones and ankle bracelets available.
Action is requested on this agreement, please.
Is there no downside to all of it?
Just criminal. There's downside.
We asked, there's no upfront money, what she said. And we only charge you all for what's active. And we let you keep, I think it's 20% on your shelf of what you have active. So if you've got 20 units out there, we want you to keep, 4 units on the shelf. And we don't charge you for what's on the shelf.
Make a motion to accept this agreement with the correspondent.
I'll second that, John. We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? The agreement pertaining to Coruscant. And Ms. Courtney, may call it roll.
Ms. Ashball?
Yes.
Mr. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Laszlo?
Yes.
Mr. Bradshaw?
Yes.
Judge Roberts?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Donna. Here you go, Chuck.
Thank you all. Look forward to doing business with you. You need it?
Thank you so much, Chuck. Okay, number 2 under new business, actually is requested to purchase a used box ambulance at a cost of $8,000 and
Okay, sorry. It's not displaced yet, see it. Resolution 1302 of the Boone County Fiscal Court Resolution of the Fiscal Court of County of Bullitt, Kentucky, setting the hookup fee schedule for electronic monitoring of criminal defendants sentenced to home incarceration in Bullitt County, Kentucky, and any other legal participants court order for electronic monitoring. Whereas Bullitt County Fiscal Court acknowledges that there are costs associated with electronic monitoring of criminal defendants sentenced to home incarceration and other court participants who may be ordered from time to time to use an electronic monitoring device, including costs for the time spent by the staff of the detention center, sheriff's office, and county attorney's office in monitoring said defendants. And whereas Bullitt County Fiscal Court finds that criminal defendants and court order participants should bear some of the cost of electronic monitoring when sentenced to home incarceration and lieu of incarceration at the Bullitt County Detention Center, or to electronic monitoring for terms of criminal orders. Now therefore be it resolved that Bullitt County Fiscal Court has deemed it necessary for criminal defendants sentenced to home incarceration under Bullitt County court case or out-of-county participants in the valid court order and any other court order participants to pay a hookup fee of $50 due to the time of electronic monitoring device is activated. Be it further resolved that the $50 due for activation of the Bullitt County Detention Center shall retain $25. $12.50 shall be forwarded to the Bullitt County Sheriff's Office, and $12.50 shall be forwarded to the Bullitt County Attorney's Office. The fees received by each office shall be used or disposed of in conformance with applicable laws. This resolution having been adopted by the Bullitt County Fiscal Court at a regular meeting on the 5th day of March 2013.
All right, need a motion and a second, please. Thanks, Monica.
I make a motion to accept the resolution.
Second, we're here, second.
Second.
Thanks, Bob. We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion on this resolution as 13-02? And on, and on.
Ms. Satchwell?
Yes.
Mr. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Laszlo?
Yes.
Mr. Bradshaw?
Yes.
Judge Roberts?
Action is requested to purchase a used box ambulance at a cost of $8,000. And Mike, do you want to give the recommendation of the emergency services committee?
Yes, ma'am. The emergency services committee met last week. We discussed the purchase of this used vehicle from Nelson County EMS, who is getting a new vehicle refurb, so they're trading this in, and we'll be able to give it $8,000. What I propose to the committee is that we use the $8,000 that we received from the surplus property that we put on gov deals that EMS put on our 2 Crown Vics, the old box van that we got from Jefferson County years ago, and an old ambulance. We take that money and purchase this used vehicle. We should be able to get a year, 2 years out of it before we have to refurbish it, which would cost us about the price that we were paying for the van. But the need for this truck is so that we have the ability to haul our bariatric patients. We currently are losing probably anywhere from $6,000 to $8,000 a year by calling in Yellow Ambulance or Nelson County or Hardin County mutual aid to pick up our bariatric patients and transport them to the hospital. The director of Nelson County and I work pretty closely, and I feel fairly confident that this is a good sound vehicle and it will get us started on getting some box trucks into this county. Won't be delivered until the end of May. Part of the motion, I would request that the county attorney be authorized to cut the check for the treasurer. Did I say? Be authorized to cut the $8,000 check upon delivery of the vehicle.
Okay.
Did you say when we had the EMS meeting that you did actually have the $8,000 left over from something?
It wasn't left over, it's money that we collected for the surplus property.
Oh.
So we collected almost $20,000, and I say we, being the county, there was $20,000 that were made off of all of the equipment and materials that we put on gov deals. 8,000 of that was EMS vehicles that were placed on that. And that's what I would like to use to purchase this vehicle. It was unbudgeted revenue.
that was going to be my question, was there enough that you sold to cover the
Yes.
$500,000?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion to purchase this vehicle for $8,000 and authorize the county treasurer to cut the check upon delivery.
I'll second that motion. We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? I am thrilled to see Fort County get a box ambulance. I think our county deserves to go to the box, as you have taught me that the box is more efficient.
It's a starting point, and our bariatric patients are really appreciate it.
I'm hopeful this one will pass. And, hearing no other discussion, Ms. Parker, will you call the roll?
Ms. Ashcraft?
Yes.
Mr. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Laszlo?
Yes.
Mr. Bradshaw?
Yes.
Judge Roberts?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
The second item on your agenda is the Kentucky Board of EMS grant document that I'm under the understanding that was put in your packet. This is the grant that you all authorized me to file on December 18th. It was filed, we've been awarded, and I apologize, Lisa did not give me a copy of it, so I know it's a little over $10,000. I need authorization from the court for the judge to sign this document so that we can get it submitted and get the funds in here before the end of the day.
Like 10,100 or 714.
That's right, yes, sir. And that was to go towards the purchase of next year's ambulance and next year's budget.
Thank you, Joe.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to allow me to sign this CMRS grant application.
Is this the KBEMS?
KV, Kentucky Board of EMS.
So this is number 4.
I'm sorry, I don't have, the agendas were out in the back, so I'm
So
trying to go off memory.
this, just to let you know, this is item number 4 on your agenda.
That's
It's
it.
number 8.
Okay.
I apologize.
KBEMS. And any questions or discussion?
This is not the application, it's the actual acceptance of the grant.
Correct, and the judge just needs authorization to sign it, so we can send it on.
No, whenever you're ready.
Ms. Ashcraft?
Yes.
Mr. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Laszlo?
Yes.
Mr. Bradshaw?
Yes.
Judge Roberts?
Yes.
Motion carried.
The next item should be the CMRS grant application. What we've done the last night is continuing to work on this. It's due March 15th. And we are waiting for quotes from KIPTA. What we want to submit with your approval is $100,000. There's no match to this grant. What we're trying to accomplish is to get our address points for our mapping data, which will benefit the dispatch center and help when we receive cell phone calls. And then it'll work towards the statewide project so that this data will be able to mesh with the statewide network. What that allows us to do is instead of doing street ranges, where you'll say it starts at 100 and ends at 1,000 and every house is 5.89 feet is how we address it. KIPTA or a contractor, depending on the cheapest one, will come in and they will drive and get in front of every house and pinpoint their lat and longitude and address it. So if there's been a mistake where an odd number's on the wrong side of the road, the CAD or the mapping will identify that residence based on its actual address point. KIPTA's quote is $3 a point, and they're saying there are over 28,000 points that they're aware of, and we're trying to clean up the numbers and make sure we get an accurate quote before we submit it. So my request is to authorize the judge to sign the document and to allow us to submit for the $100,000 grant to do our address points for our map. Makes sense.
I'll make a motion to allow the judge to sign for this grant. CMRS grant.
Yes,
Who seconded?
Joe, yeah. We have a motion and a second, any questions or discussion? No, do we need the amount?
I got it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Pauline, call the roll.
Ms. Ashcraft?
Yes.
Mr. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Laszlo?
Yes.
Mr. Bradshaw?
Yes.
Judge Roberts?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And then the Emergency Services Committee had a pretty lengthy discussion about the salary issues that the county is facing, and this has been a conversation that we've probably had in 3 or 4 of our meetings, and I think the 2 magistrates that sit on the board, we're looking at putting a committee together to start addressing some of those issues and trying to come up with a solution or a plan on what we're going to do for our salaries, and I'm gonna leave the rest up to the judge because I think they're her appointments. But this is something that me personally as a director, that we addressed dispatch, and that we started point, and then we've got the EMS employees there that need to be addressed along with all the rest of the employees. And I think this hopefully will come up with a plan on how we tackle that and come up with a solution and a direction for future budgets.
I'll make a motion to appoint the salary committee, which consists of Rocky Comito, Master Ruthie Ashball, Master John Bradshaw, and Deputy Judge Lisa Craddock.
I'll second that motion. Any questions or discussion? Thank you all for agreeing to serve on this salary committee. And Ms. Pauline, may call the roll.
Ms. Ashcraft?
Yes.
Mr. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Laszlo?
Yes.
Mr. Bradshaw?
Yes.
Judge Roberts?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And the final item, and I'll sit down and shut up. And 2 of the department heads that put me up to this actually have disappeared and took off. 3 of them are here. But in discussing with the other department heads, we were wanting to start the process of updating our personnel employee handbook. So in discussions with Monica and trying to find out where she was at in the process, she advised me that she has not proceeded any further than where she was at because she was looking for some direction from fiscal court to make sure that she wasn't wasting time in preparing this document. We've been talking to her and the department heads. We've offered any assistance that we may be able to lend her to help the process. But we're looking for some guidance and some direction from fiscal court, maybe a vote to make sure that that is something you all are looking for so that we can start the process and improve the personnel policies.
I would just like to make a general statement. I'm not trying to be combative, but sometimes you just gotta say what it is. When we started in 2011, there were 3 things I said we needed to get done, and this was one of the 3. And I will not write policy for the court. The court has to determine what they want their policy to be. My job is to make sure it is legal. And I had started, because you all wanted a handbook, or that was the general consensus. I had gathered information from other counties, started working on one, got up to 80-something pages. But the problem is, it is not my job, and I rarely say that, but it is not my job to decide how you all want to run the county. And by that I mean, I had asked at the time, do you want merit raises? Do you want broke down by job description? Do you want a sliding scale like Hardin County has? This is your secretary makes between here and here, and that's it, and you're cut off regardless of position. I cannot make those decisions for you all. And what I've been asked to do, in my opinion, is very far afield of what my statutory obligation is. I should not be the person that is meeting with all of your department heads and decides which direction you want the county to go. I will write what you want. I will look up, I will research, I will find out whatever takes, we don't have to recreate the wheel. But you all got to tell me which way the wheel's going to roll. I don't vote, and I don't make policy. And I'm not trying to be mean and a smart one cannot and will not and won't do that. It's not my job. I'll be glad to help you all in any way I possibly can. I told Mike I'll meet with him if you all decide which way you want to go and say, well, maybe we should word it like this or use this. But I should not be the person who's making the determinations of how you want to give your raises, how you want to base your job descriptions on it, whether you want it to be a flat rate back and forth. That's something I have to have information from you all. If you want me to sit down and work to tell Mike or this committee what I've got thus far, the questions they should be asking to get the answers from you all, I'll be glad to do that. But there's no way that I should have to take on this duty to meet with all these department heads. And secondly, not to mention the fact that you all heard the ones here, one of my main prosecutors had heart surgery today. And he's going to be out for at least 6 to 8 weeks. And you all see Tan, she's going to have a baby. And it's going to happen shortly after he gets back. We'll scribe it, but I have no resources to devote to meet with all your department heads. It's not going to happen. Not until at least the end of the summer, when I can get everybody back from park trouble and have a permit.
Hang on. May I suggest a personnel committee?
My thoughts are just me, but if you get a lot of people working on stuff, it's going to slow it down. I think it's in a good functioning thing. If you all want somebody to spearhead it and go ask your questions and get back with you, I think the fastest way to do it. It just can't be me. I don't think I should be writing the policy for the county. I write the ordinance, but I don't think I should be responsible for directing your policy.
And I think the 4 departments that I talked to in the meeting wouldn't mind doing that and working with the judge and trying to get the direction. I think the salary committee can address. But what we don't want to do is spend the time and then ask Monica to review as to form and legality of what we're doing, and then she's wasting time on that. And it's something that you guys have no intention of doing. But keep in mind that the last update was 2001. And there's been no changes to that document since. And there are some changes that have to be made and some additions to it.
There's major changes. There's parts that aren't consistent with the law.
So that's something we have to do, and we're just kind of looking for direction to get the process started and to make sure that when we send something, or however you decide to do it, when we send something up to Monica, we're not wasting time and end up with a 9-page document that's not even going to be considered. We're not asking you to approve it, we're just asking you to approve starting the process and how you want us to do that.
How about this? What about the salary committee being turned into the personnel committee, and it could work on salaries and this employee handbook? Just a suggestion.
I think yes, you do. But if you had a public people, then just throw in the department heads, and just take the old handbook possibly and just not go by it, see what they want to do.
And what we may be able to do, Judge, is
That would be the easiest way.
make the committee of the department heads, and we do one section at a time and submit to fiscal court for their review, questions and comments.
The old handbook, what I gave you advice on last, in 2011, needs to be scrapped. It has not the first job description. It contradicts itself in at least 5 places. So my thoughts are to use the same format for the colleagues to be setting themselves up in trouble down the road. That's why.
Same format though, would they go by that? No.
I gather them from other counties that are much more up to date than we are, and maybe too voluminous. But if you decide to look at one of those, that's where I would start. I would scrap the one you have. That's just-
Yes, Linda.
I'm glad that you're doing this, because one of the things in strategic planning, when we started talking earlier, we listed weaknesses or things that we wanted to see improved, and one of them was job descriptions and evaluation procedures. So it was in that period that pretty much started that process, because that was something that was pointed out that we needed to do.
Yeah, Linda, since I took office in 2007, when Monica was the deputy judge, we asked the former magistrates to work with my office on job descriptions and other HR projects,
Well, and evaluation procedures too.
but that wasn't of interest to us.
Well, our committee said we're going to do that, so I'm glad you're here. I said what I thought, so do all.
Oh, yes, Andrea, go ahead.
Mike, of the handbooks and things that you reviewed from other counties, when we were taking a look at, maybe looking at the one we currently have and going off of that, of what changes we need to be made, your recommendation to scrap that. The ones that you looked at from surrounding counties that you have researched and kind of taken lead from, is there any one in particular that you would recommend that might be as close as?
I've got them in my office, and as far as closest, I think the handbook already does it, okay? It may be way more voluminous than we want, but the main thing, it is set up by, kind of like what the judge wanted to do when she first got in office. She wanted to say, okay, if you're a secretary of Wood County, regardless of where you work, what department, your lowest you can make is this, and the highest you can make is this. So you kind of like get up to the maximum. If you didn't move on to another job, you're at the maximum there, okay? That's how their whole book is set up, by each job like that. Because then you keep consistencies within the different departments. But then the other flip side of it is if you've got a long-time employee, we have employees here that are probably making, and I know it's going to tax and law, probably twice what they should be if you were on a sliding scale. You see what I'm saying? You capped off at a certain, because we kept giving raises and raises and raises based upon longevity. So that's one of the primary things that has to be determined first. Are you going to give your raises based on the very fact you work here?
Sure.
Is it going to be based on longevity, or is it going to be based upon what job you're at and your years of service combined? If that's your answer, part of it is excellent. If that's not your answer, if it's something else, then you could take part of departments, because there's the federal compliance, everything we need on it is there. But you're going to have to take another county and substitute, and I've got several up there. I just don't know which way they want to go.
So we feasibly could say, okay, well, it's all the federal guidelines as far as HR policy and that, those things can be put in place. That we can actually open, we could literally open the book and say, we like this, we don't like this, we
And
like
then you
this, we
have
don't like
one
this.
job description for a secretarial position versus 15 job descriptions for a different type of secretary. See what I'm saying? It all really comes down to depending upon that first question. How do you want that to be set up? Because it affects the entire rest of the ordinance. And then after you figure all that out, Mike has his own little web where EMS is kind of like lived in their little universe, and they've got their own policies and procedures that don't remotely match what is in the county handbook now. And if we're going to be a county handbook, they've got to come together. Or how else are people treated the same regardless of what department you come to? So those are the major hurdles right there.
No, it doesn't matter, we have to do it, but you all are welcome to do it. I didn't know how John felt about that.
John goes back. The employee handbooks that I'm familiar with, they don't discuss salary. That's left up to HR who hires the individual for a certain department, where it's not in the employee handbook. Because in the world that I live in, I'm not supposed to know what Joe's making, and Joe's not supposed to know what I'm making. And I can get fired for even discussing it with him. That's how the corporate world that I'm in work, and that's how they treat it. They have basically what I would term a generic handbook. This is how every employee of the county is supposed to be. You're supposed to be on time, you're supposed to do your job, you punch in, you punch out. you know, you got so many sick days, so many holidays, whatever, and it applies to everybody in the county. Your job description is specific to the job that you're doing. And I have suggested that to get this thing started, the supervisors of each department, Mike, East Stivers, the other departments in the county, they know what their guys are supposed to do. And I think they could sit down. The easiest way to do it to me would be call your employees, say, hey, I want you to write down on a piece of paper, what do you think your job is? What you're responsible for, what you're supposed to do on a day-to-day basis. Write it down. They do that, they bring it to you, you have a discussion with them, you either agree or disagree, you add stuff, you take away, and then you say, that is your job description. I expect you to maintain what this says. Now, paramedic maybe has the same job description as an EMT. I don't know. I think there'd be a little bit of difference there. You know. But anyway, you work it out with your employee. Mr. Stivers, he takes his truck drivers, his big equipment operators. They tell him, okay, you know, if I'm driving a bulldozer, I'm supposed to do this and do this and do this. If I'm driving a grader, I'm supposed to do this. And, you know, if I'm cutting grass, I do this. I'm responsible for this. I'm responsible for maintaining this equipment or not maintaining it. So-and-so, whatever. That gets the thing started. Now, down the road, you come back and say, well, we're going to tweak it a little bit. We're going to refine this description. And it's like a living organism. It's a living document. It can be changed, proper procedures. But at least you've got something in black and white. So that when John comes to work, he knows what he's supposed to do that day. Because we have nothing like that now. And if John comes to work and he does something else, and you say, you're fired because you didn't do your job. And John says, what's my job? You're stuck. You lost it in court. That's why we need job descriptions. In my opinion, more than almost anything else, as far as this employee handbook goes, we need the job description.
And to a point that goes back to what Mark has said in my web, is EMS has, we have separate policies because HIPAA and the federal policies that we have, a building has to follow, I have little separate items. But how my people approach and go through an intersection has nothing to do with how Jimmy has to go through an intersection. So our departmental SOPs on how you will, what your uniforms look like and what they are. So we have our own departmental SOPs to a point. Now, how we discipline or things like that, or leaves and absence are all done by the employee handbook. But we've had to create our own little.
He's created his own adjustments because of what you're talking about.
We don't have.
And I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong at all, okay? It's just a direction. What I'm saying is, I'm trying to look at it by more than just the job description. We're not private sector, we're government. And so most government postings, let's say you're advertising this job, would say what the salary is up here based upon your experience, whatever. Not all counties incorporate that into their job description. I want to tell you the plus on it, okay? And you all decide whether you want to do it or not. But if you just do the job description and you do that differently, okay? You do the salaries different than the fine. But that's what happens. The next job description, let's just say Melanie's secretary out here is going to be a different job description than the secretary that works in planning and zoning, okay? Both of them should have similar traits. Granted, they need to be tweaked for the job, I will agree with that. But when Mel came into office, this lady's no longer employed here. There was a secretary out here that made more than all but 2 of the directors in the county. Okay? And that's what happened. And that's something you have to think about because a lot of our employees are lifelong employees. We have a very good retention rate. People stay here, except for mine, people stay here a long time. And if you want to keep that from happening, then you have to at some point decide initially you're going to have a cap on a certain position, and let's just say you're at that position and you're up to your cap. want more money, then you need more responsibility, you're gonna have to apply for another job when it becomes open that makes more money to get up to the next level. So you keep from having people that end up, you know, making more money than two of the directors, because that's what happens. And that's what I was trying to look at, whole big picture before you start. Because I agree, y'all, we just slapped down a group of job descriptions, that's great. But it hadn't fixed our problem. And our problem is every time we have a budget, are we getting a raise, or we don't get a raise, is everybody getting 50 cents, or you don't getting 50 cents? It should all be taken care of in that one day, because you keep giving 50 cents to somebody who's capped out $20,000 more than that maximum job should have ever paid. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I'll make a motion to table this thing till our next, fiscal court, simply because of the weather and it's getting late.
I'll second that. I'll second that motion.
Yeah.
I'll second that. We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Table this till March 19th. Oh, I'm sorry, Montrell, you have one, and go ahead. Montrell, did you have your hand up? Okay.
Just one thing. Every job should have an evaluation. There's no good to have a job description unless you evaluate those employees based on what they're doing in that job. If nothing else in this handbook, please reward people who do their job. If we're rewarding everybody just because they're here for another year. Make the evaluations count. When you do that, people accept it. When everybody is put in the same pool and everybody gets the same amount of money, workload reduces, production reduces. When you reward the high performers, you get more high performers. So please consider the evaluation being a significant part of pay raises.
As far as I know, the ones that I've talked to in this committee, see, I can't think, I'm so tired. This salary committee, we were gonna go ahead and we were gonna make up, once we got the salary all done, then we were gonna make up a paper that goes to every director and all these people's dates of getting a raise, they had to fill that out and turn it in, and that was that.
Or if you reward the high performers, other people will get jacked and they'll start performing better.
Right.
No matter where you're at.
Thank you, Steve. Montrell?
What I was just going to say is in the job descriptions, he touched on it, not only make the evaluations, but also have something strongly worded, those people are held accountable. Because I think we all would agree there are people that have county jobs that may or may not be performing to their potential. So you either coach up or you coach out. And I think that both helps us get maybe a more vigorous workforce, someone that may be a little more hungry to perform that job to the best of their ability, the best ability of the county as well as the court would help based on budgeting. When you come to a budget situation, you know what the people are making, you know what their raises are going to be, so it seems like it can make your other jobs a lot easier, so keep that in mind.
Thank you, Montrell. Any other questions? And do we have a motion on the floor?
Yes.
What's the motion?
Table to the next meeting.
Okay. All right, go for it, Donna.
Ms. Ashby?
Yes.
Mr. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thanks, Mike. First reading of ordinance regarding debt refinancing of jail 3 payroll. Deputy Judge, take it away.
Judge, can I turn this in before I?
Sure.
This is just the reimbursements for the February month, for the detention center, $20,058.20. $8,000 was a low month. It was $8,253.
That's pretty good.
Authorizing additions of general obligations bonds, series 2013, and aggregate principal amount not to exceed $6,750,000, which amount may be decreased as necessary or desirable to refund and retire the county's outstanding lease agreement with the Kentucky Association of Counties Leasing Trust, dated May 18, 2000, approving the form of bonds, authorizing designated officers to execute and deliver the bonds, providing for the payment and security of the bonds, creating a bond payment fund, maintaining a sinking fund, authorizing acceptance of the bid of the bond purchaser for the purchase of the bonds, and repealing inconsistent ordinances. To be ordained by the Fiscal Court of the County of Florida, Commonwealth of Kentucky, summary. This ordinance sets forth general rules, regulations, and conditions for the issuance of general obligation refunding bonds by the County of Florida, Kentucky, the county, in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $6,750,000 for bonds for the purpose of, 1, refunding and retiring the outstanding lease agreement by and between the county and the Kentucky Association of Counties Leasing Trust, dated May 18, 2000, and 2, paying the cost of issuance of bonds. Provisions are made for the authorization and issuance of bonds, for the application and of the proceeds of the bonds, for the establishment of a bond payment fund, and for certain covenants of the county with respect to the bonds. The bonds will be sold at advertised public sale in accordance with the provisions of Chapter 424 of the Kentucky Revised Statutes. The bonds are their interest, payable at such rates and on the interest payment dates as shall be established upon their sale. Reference is hereby made to the full text of the ordinance, a copy of which is on file at the office of the Will County Clerk, 149 North Walnut Street, Shepherdsville, Kentucky, 40165, for a complete statement of its provisions and terms. Given first reading at regular meeting of the Will County District Court on the 5th day of March, 2013. Given second reading, voted upon and passed at a regular meeting of the Will County District Court on the blank date blank 2013. Summary prepared and approved as to legality informed by Montevideo Policy Will County Attorney.
Thank you, Deputy Judge. And I'm ready and finished. Well, do we have anything to do with this, with the Board County Public Schools moving forward?
No, we need to make a decision when we're gonna have a second meeting, because that
Okay.
ordinance has to be advertised prior to.
I said March the 19th.
And I'll check, I think there was a year at elevation, so I'll check.
What we should do this, and I'll also read a copy of the, as it says, I can read it, it's gonna be, the full copy is on the line, that's all.
Brandy? Oh, and Martha, will you all say that again?
We need to vote on occupational
I was kind of thinking that we would hold that on to the next fiscal court, so that we can move to maybe.
Well, we signed an approval.
Oh, did you go
For
ahead and
so
sign
many
it?
days, and we got to make.
Okay, so it's March the 19th, too late?
The last meeting, I think.
It's March the 19th, too late?
I don't have our paperwork down here, but I told you I got an extension for a short period of time, and I worked out the same.
Well, okay.
Make the motion. I guess we need to explain what's going on, what we're making a motion for.
Yeah, go ahead, Ruthie.
Well, Joe's done made a motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. What's our motion? How much? To whom? Why? Well, I want to know where my money's going. But why? You don't know why? think the motion needs to include why. I just want to vote on fiscal court.
Joe, honestly, my ears was off at the foot, I can barely hear what you're saying. I heard something about Shepherdsville. Only thing I would want to make sure you all have is, we worked on the final copy of the settlement, and, Joe Walker and I are still speaking out the details, so I need Melanie to have the authority, to sign that agreement, to fight to die, the vote you all make today. And also I will put in there to make sure that, in your motion, that you state that the employees will be protected against clutch.
You got all that down?
And then there will be a statement issue, like, once we get the settlement done, and that's what that will be defined in the story for. If you want an explanation, you want to give an explanation of where the 56,000 came up from? I mean, that's up to you all. The $56,000 that the court proposed the City of Shepherdsville to settle this lawsuit came as a number that was tendered by counsel for the treasurer as the amount that was believed to actually be in dispute. That was significantly lower than the county's number and significantly lower than the City of Shepherdsville, but we came to agreement by adding the number that was provided by Treasurer's Council plus $1.
And the judge decided the final agreement, right?
Yeah, because you're voting on today, she needs to sign the agreement once Joe Rush makes a word motion.
And I'll say. Joe, make a motion to approve the settlement with the City of Shepherdsville for $56,001 to settle the lawsuit concerning the occupational tax withholdings and employees will be protected against collection, and the judge is authorized to sign the final agreement on which that's fair.
We have a motion and a second, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, any questions or discussion? Are you all aware of what's going on here? Okay. It's your tax dollars that are paying for this mistake that the county treasurer made.
I'm under your direction, Judge.
I want to see it in writing.
Judge, we still have an open lawsuit on this part of the case, so let's not respond to that, we still have an open claim.
I was elected to protect the tax dollars. I will continue to serve the people, watch your tax dollars, even if there are members on this court who refuse to do that for you, the people. With that said, call the roll.
Ms. Ashbrook? Yes. Mr. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Laszlo?
Yes.
Mr. Bradshaw?
Yes.
Judge Roberts?
Unfortunately, I have to vote yes, get this settled, and it's a shame that the mistake has occurred. Anything else? Anything else?
I make a motion
Motion
to
to
adjourn.
adjourn? We have a motion and a second, any further discussion for adjournment? And hearing none, Ms. Thompson, call the roll.
Ms. Ashbrook? Yes. Mr. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Laszlo?
Yes.
Mr. Bradshaw?
Yes.
Judge Roberts?